Hey guys, this is Juno and welcome back to another Summons War video. We'll be talking about another week of the 10 Years of Hall of Heroes event, and it's going to be week 3. Keep in mind, I'm making these 1 week prior to when the actual event starts because I actually make all my edits the weekend before all the videos go up. So I can't really make the video on the week the event starts, as in if I do that, the video will come out the next week. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people enjoyed and appreciated the video I made last week regarding week 2. I've gotten nice comments asking me to continue this. Before we even go in, a lot of people said, obviously go for the LD ones because those are hard to get. So if you don't have them, it's probably the best choice. And I agree. But some people might want immediate skill ups for some of their units that they want to use for siege. Skill ups are pretty much a must if you're using them for siege defense. There could be other reasons, but I think that's the biggest issue. So that's why I think I talked about like Liu Mei when we talked about the Kung Fu Girl. And somebody also pointed out that Liu Mei is also going to be part of the Hall of Heroes event, which is awesome. So do I think this is still a bad choice? Yeah. Like I said, if you could craft it, if you could fusion the unit, then there's no reason for you to go for that unit unless you are really going for that particular element. But I just think my point still stands. If you want immediate skill ups for a unit that you cannot craft and you are not a huge spender, you don't have a lot of scrolls, you don't think you could get it because it is RNG, then it could be a good pick. Just saying that. But it is still correct to go for the LD ones if you don't have them and you have the other 3 elemental ones and you think that you don't need immediate skill ups for their counterparts. So week 3, wow, I could tell that this is an old Hall of Heroes because I remember for so long I didn't have Diaz, the Dark Death Knight. But seeing it is making me reminiscent. I think I missed it by probably like a couple months. Anyhow, let's start with the Brownie Magician. So Draco. Now Draco is a decent unit. You could use it for some cool siege offenses. Something with like Kali, Garo, Draco. A lot of people use that. It has a pretty good skill 3 where you get immunity, where you get attack bar boost, and you get a random buff. It's either attack buff or a defense buff, I believe. Draco itself is good, like I said. If you want to use it offensive wise, to use it anywhere else, you don't really see it anywhere else in arena. Maybe in arena offense, but the attack buff is RNG. And for arena offense, in most cases, you want attack buff. So I don't think it is a good booster in that sense. I don't think you'll use it in a particular arena offense. Arena defense, I don't see it too much. I don't see it at all, actually. I think he is mostly used for either RTA, for a cleave. I think Lucian cleavers still use it. I've seen it a lot in the lower levels. However, it is nearly absent as you climb into Guardian. Nearly, I said nearly because I do think there are still some people that use it. In the end, I think I have to say he is mostly a siege unit because I have seen him in siege defense, I think mostly paired with Odin's. And also I have seen him in siege offense. Even I use it sometimes for my secondary Carl team. Now let's talk about his counterparts. There's a lot of good units in this counterpart. Let me do a quick check, making sure that you cannot craft any of the Brownie Magicians. And you can't. So if you're looking for skill ups for, let's say, Gemini, which is also going to be a Holo Hero option later on, is good. The Aquila, I believe the Aquila is the name. Could be wrong, but I think that's the Wind Brownie Magician, which is also a good unit for arena offense because it does have a very decent AoE strip and it strips all buffs and then gives the team a attack buff. So if you guys are lacking Tiana, if you guys are lacking a good AoE stripper, then Aquila could be good. I should use it more too. Yeah, he could take up that position that strips and also attack buffs. And then Orion, no question, a unit that is used a lot in Siege as well, sometimes in Arena, but I think mostly again a Siege defense unit is an awesome unit too if you need skill ups. I don't think you could go wrong with going the Brownie Musicians. If you need skill ups, yes, a good choice. If you need a siege defense unit, if you don't have him at all, so you want to use him for siege defense, I think he's a great unit too. And if you want to pair him with Garo and Kali, something like that, I think he's also a beneficial unit there. Dark counterpart, I don't remember the name, is the only one that doesn't have a real use right now and probably needs a decent buff for the user to determine if it could be usable later on. We'll see. Balance patch is coming out soon. So now the samurai, I think the samurai itself has no use. Let's see if it's fusionable. It is. So the water samurai is something that you could fuse. It's the exact same one. So if you don't have him and you want him, then there's no reason for you to pick him out because you could just build him. I guess the only reason you'll pick him is because you think you lack resources, so you don't want to go through the hassle to fuse this unit, and instead pick him all out so you can skill up any of the other counterpart samurais. But do I think that's a good idea? I don't think so, because I think the only one that's decent is the light one and dark one. Some people might argue the wind one is good because they have found a way to use it. I think the wind one has an AoE defense break. Oh no, the wind one has an AoE reset on skill 3. Oh no, not even AoE. It's a single target strip with the reset. I don't know, that it could be a cool unit, to be fair, if you're lacking a wind damage dealer, but in today's state of the game, because you get so many scrolls, I don't think you'll be at a place where you're really lacking a nat 5 damage dealer that you'll not take over the Kaido. Samurai really skill ups for the light and dark one, and even then, I'll just tell you to don't do that and fuse it, because even the light and dark one are pretty mediocre damage wise. Which I thought there was one of the samurais that did a defense break. Was that the fire one then? Ah, it's a fire one. So if you guys need a AoE defense breaker, you guys might think that the fire one is decent because the AoE defense break and the Skywolf skill 4 activates, and then he could put in that big damage. I don't know. That could be decent, but it is fire. So there is elemental advantages and disadvantages. So if the unit glances, you'll probably lose half the damage. And being a fire unit and being most of the healers in today's arena defense being water units, pretty hard to utilize them. So my opinion still stands. I think Samurai is not a good pick. Cobalt Bomber, the Taurus, I believe. Now again, we'll first check if you could fuse any of these units. And it looks like you can't. I think the Cobalt Bombers all are decent. 4 of them have like almost the same use. The water one. Actually, does the fire one even have a bomb? The fire one doesn't have a bomb. Then I take that back. I think the wind one, the water one, and the light one are decent, right? Because first of all, they all have the AoE bomb. Now, why do I not like the Cobalt Bomber over any of the Joker Bombers? And that's because the Joker Bombers on skill 2 gains 50% accuracy with the bombs. So really, you don't need to get that accuracy when you're ruining them. You just need like 30 something percent, right? 35 to be exact, if you want to have max accuracy. And then you can focus all your stats into attack. So as a result, the Joker hits a lot harder with their bombs than the Cobalt Bombers, because Cobalt Bombers need accuracy to land a bomb. But they definitely have a better skill 3, because for example, the wind one has an AoE reset. I believe it's a 1-turn reset though. Let's take a real quick look. If it's multiple turns, like 2 turns, it's even better. Yeah, so it's a 1-turn reset, but it is an AoE reset. And then the water one has an AoE defense break plus freeze, which is actually a very decent skill, but again, the only downfall is that it does need accuracy. Okay, it doesn't freeze, but it does AoE defense break and puts attack break. So I do think that their skill 3 are decent. The light one, I believe, does silence or something like that, which is also a decent skill. Then the dark one has a totally different use. It's an outsider of the family. It has AoE strip, which is also pretty nice, but the base speed is really bad, so I think it's really hard for lower level players to use. I think even high level, due to there being so many AoE strippers now, it really lost its spot. So you barely see that unit. Like I said, the fire one, yes, it's a little different as well. It doesn't put the bombs, but it could detonate bombs. Like it's a budget Sierra in a way. But do people use it? Not really, to be fair. So I think you really need the Taurus if you're going for the water skill ups, the wind skill ups, or the light skill ups. Now, if you just want Taurus by itself, that works as well because you do get an AoE resetter plus a bomber. I'll say this again, if you are debating from the two bombers, which is the Joker and the Cobalt bombers, I'll go with the Joker because it is so much easier to rune. You could give it a lot more attack, so effectively the bombs will hit harder, which in today's arena defense, harder the better because everything is so damn tanky. You need more damage. I think the Light Sylph is something that I would definitely not go for by itself. I don't think it's a good unit. You could fuse the Fire Sylph, so you could get skill ups for any of the counter family. Does anybody use the Sylphs? Yes, they do. The Water one is good, right? And then the Dark one is also used in Toa, your beginning Toa. I believe it gets replaced fairly early, as now, again, there's a lot of units that put AoE continuous damage. But the Water one has a lot of use, the budget for Rad. So if you have him and want skill ups, yes, you might want to go for the Light one. You'll keep one and then use the rest as skill ups because you could fuse the Fire one for skill ups. In the end, I think you'll be picking the Light Sylph, hoping for a buff. And I think that's what most people are recommending, are saying when they say go for the LDs, because you don't know when they'll get a buff, and the LDs are usually the most drastic in a way because they're so unique. Sylph in the end, you'll only go if you don't have the unit. Death Knight. Now, DS was once a for sure needed unit for early raid, but now the 2A Darien totally replaced the spot. It is a decent dark tank. So again, I'll go back to this saying that if you don't have the unit, then go for it, because who knows, maybe you go for a buff. However, even if it doesn't get a buff, by itself, it is still a decent dark tank. So you could definitely bring it into Siege offense. I think Cray used it a couple times. I think we still see it to this day in some of his Siege battles. So if you want a tanker, he's a good unit. I don't really have an opinion on the rest of his counterparts. I think the Fire one has a nuke that a lot of people used to use against Mo Long. If you want to try something like that, go for it. I think the Light one, I think people started using, especially if they have Yon Hong. I think the Light one has a speed lead. So the Light Death Knight plus the Yon Hong plus the War Bear or something like that. Some kind of bear, I forgot what it was. Ursha, I think that was the one it's called. There's a team like that people are using. I think it's some kind of one-shot comp, and I think the Light Death Knight plays a part there. But like I said, it's a light unit, so if you don't have it, there's no point. For the Death Knight, if you don't have the unit, I think it's a good pick. By itself, it's a decent tanker as well. However, the counterparts other than the Light one and Fire one, I don't see too much use. Let me know if you're using the Water one, because I know the Water one has a decent skill 3, which is like the Endure, Will, and stuff. If you have a strategy regarding that, please let me know, because I'm interested. Obviously, I have all of these units, so there isn't a particular one I'm going to be going for. Maybe I'll go for the Cobalt Bomber, because I am thinking of building some other bombers and trying them out. If you guys don't have the LD units, then pick one of those, hoping for a buff, or if not, just pick the Death Knight, because that one is pretty good at the current state. Who knows, maybe it could get a buff later, but even now, like I said, it's a good tanker, so no reason to not pick him out over the Sylph, because I think a very few amount of people that use the Light Sylph. Yep, but that was it, guys, for this list of Hall of Heroes. I hope that this video helped. For early game players, go for the LDs.